This is something that we have developed as an organisation because of our own experience of going to conferences. We can have amazingly inspiring speakers, and I don't know about you, but I'm already really sort of revved up and inspired by what Karen has said. But sometimes at a conference, I go along at the head level the whole day. You know, I get here on automatic. I don't know if other people had crowded journeys on the underground, maybe didn't even notice the beautiful blue sky that we had this morning. And then I arrive and I meet with people I know and we're talking and then we're getting in and we're wondering about what seats we'll have and, you know, all the sort of fussle and buzzle and stuff that happens around a conference. Getting inspired by the speakers, going home again at the end of the day, maybe sharing a few things with a family or a friend about what it was like, and then back in the rut tomorrow. Yeah? Has anybody had that experience? And it's not even just mentally, but even physically. You know, to actually land, to actually touch down and say, all right, I'm here for the day. What an amazing experience. What an extraordinary opportunity to be in a place for one day focusing on this very, very important topic. We must think it's important or at least interesting, or we wouldn't have come. What a great opportunity we have for today. So one of the things is just to pause for a moment and just savour that. You know, we're at the beginning of a day of exploration, of not knowing, of hopefully learning, of encountering. So just to recognise that and, you know, be really pleased about it. So we wanted to introduce you to a moment of mindfulness. I'm sure that there's many people here who have encountered mindfulness already. It's a big word with many, many different interpretations. But I was just, this is another one about rushing. Don't know if anybody else had a shower like that this morning, but I certainly did. What am I going to say? Is it going to be all right? So I'd just like to invite you to come into your body for a moment as part of being kind to ourselves and preparing for the day. The two classic things to do are to make sure that your feet are firmly on the ground and to settle your seat as well as you can so that you really feel grounded for a moment. I mean, one thing you can do is actually imagining your feet stretching down like roots right to the centre of the earth, through the floor of the Purcell room, through all the concrete foundations of the South Bank and down into the earth below. And deep down there through all the different strata that the centuries and the millennium have left. Just connecting for a moment with the ground. And one of the best ways, of course, to connect with ourselves is to come back to the breath. The breath that goes in and out so faithfully during the day, and it is absolutely crucial to us being here and being alive. So maybe just take a moment to watch the breath going in and out of your body. A good place to start is in the stomach. Just see. Deep breath that goes all the way down to the stomach. But you can also watch the breath coming in and out over your upper lip, in and out of your nostrils. And I'd like to borrow a technique here from our friends at the Mindfulness in Schools movement, which is called 7-11 breathing. If you haven't done it before, it's just a useful way to check in with yourself or to show other people, particularly young people, how to do that. So just to take an in-breath to the count of 7, and then breathe out to the count of 11. And we're going to do this 3 times, and 3 times only. So the first one, in-breath to the count of 7, and then out-breath to the count of 11. A second one. And a third one. And when you've done that, just enjoy this moment of quiet, of preparation for the day, of having some space, some not knowing space for everything that's going to happen during the day. And enjoy the sensation of your feet on the ground and your bottom on the seat. Just a few hundred of us ready to embark on an adventure for the day together. As David said at the beginning, a quote from His Holiness, the letter from the Dalai Lama, just human beings, all human beings together for the day. And if your eyes are closed, then slowly to open your eyes. And I want to ask the question, while we're peaceful, what has drawn us to this conference? Why are we here today? Can you go back to the moment where you thought about coming, asked for the day off, organised a day out? Or if you're one of the organisers and one of the speakers, where you said, yes, I'll take part in this. What was your motivation? Because setting a motivation is actually one of the key things that will enable the mind to be plastic and to grow and to change during the day. There's some great research on that if you're not aware. We did actually ask people. We sent a questionnaire around and we had some lovely answers to that. Wishing to share experiences with other people who also want to implement empathy and compassion in their everyday life, said one person. The novelty of the topic, said somebody else. And then I particularly liked this very focused one where someone said, I think that empathy and compassion are drowned in the clinical, masculine, busy and regimented culture of our healthcare. So a range of general reasons and very, very specific reasons for being here today. And I put this image up here because I think this is probably something we can all relate to. We all have dreams, but so often there are things that are holding us back. And I think that's true for our organisations as well. Organisations have visions and mission statements and huge aspirations, but there's things that are holding us back. And obviously the general premise of this conference is that maybe empathy and compassion has something to do with that. So the final thing I want to do while we're sitting in the room here together is just to give us a chance to share, as human beings, a little bit of this with somebody else at the conference who we don't actually know. So I'm going to ask whether you could introduce yourself to the person sitting behind or in front of you and just explore whether there's a particular challenge that you are facing in your workplace or your community. Maybe let's pause for a moment before we do that and just reflect. Is there something that is really coming up for you, that's really difficult, that's really bothering you at the moment, that empathy and compassion might have something to do with? Maybe it's more than one thing. Maybe we're carrying quite a few questions with us today. And then I'd just like to invite you to turn to someone in front or behind, whatever's practical, introduce yourself, and share the challenge that you feel that you might be facing. Is that okay? A few minutes to do that. Wow. There's a lot going on just then. I've had a variety of careers during my life so far. I mean, I've worked with homeless people, I was director of a Buddhist centre for many years, and then I've been working in education for the last 9 or so years. And my experience is that actually, alongside the not knowing, we also have a deep wisdom inside ourselves. And if we can tap into that, we really can find answers to these problems. We are all change makers. And we all have knowledge, if only we can create the circumstances to draw it out. And one of the things that I loved about watching you all exchange just then is that it isn't just happening on the platform. You know, we've got a day full of inspiring speakers and specialists and people who I personally am really looking forward to learning from. But there is also incredible skills, knowledge and experience not to mention goodwill, right in this room. Everybody who's here. So the final thing I just wanted to suggest on that basis is that we all have an assignment during the day. And I want you to invite you to approach 3 people who you haven't met before and ask if they've got any suggestions about the challenge or the difficulty that you're facing. And that would also be in the spirit of not knowing on both sides. If you get asked something and you feel you have really nothing to contribute, Karen's given us permission to say, well, actually, I don't know. To practice saying that. Because we need to practice these things straight away today, because otherwise it's just staying at the head level. We have an opportunity today not just to talk about and think about empathy and compassion, but to actually start practicing it. So this is just a suggestion. If you've identified your challenge or your difficulty, take a moment. And it might be a very nice exchange for someone who's come to the conference on their own. And what we're going to suggest is that if you're approached, you do your best to respond with empathy and compassion. And I'm not going to describe what that's like, but I think I could describe what it's not like. It's not like, is it? Or, I'm busy talking to my friend, please don't interrupt me. Or, I'm heading out for that coffee and nothing is going to get in my way as I head out for that coffee. Anyway, just some suggestions, and we're going to have a little bit of time together at the end of the day, and I wish you a wonderful day, and I hope that this little session will help you make the most of it. Thank you very much.